Yo, 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 welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. I'm your boy Tactix.
Yo, it's just Darcy here.
And this is Big Geek Umar. How y'all doing today? Ha ha! I got it right.
When you respond that fast afterwards, you didn't get it right.
Yo, you were skipping a little bit, weren't you? You got a little shook.
I thought you had another phone ready for me. I thought it was going to be a new thing to be like, yo, you fucked up. I was like, I got to plow right through.
I could see the beads of sweat running down your forehead right now, bro.
It's like, yo, I didn't fuck this up. Like, wow, bro. You just, didn't give it a second. Didn't even give it a second.
Well, if I gave it a second, then you guys would be like, yo, you fucked up. So I was like, no, just like seamless.
This is every intro from now on. It's just like Umar trying not to mess it up and us ragging on him immediately thereafter.
Yeah, I'm just give myself a high five each time.
Okay. That's your new intro. It's Vicky Umar and just a self-congratulatory slap and then move on.
Oh man.
All right. Well, what's on the agenda for today?
So we got a packed agenda today. So we're gonna have to be as efficient as possible. But first thing on the docket, what just dropped literally today, is the Suicide Squad 2 trailer. So I say we just let each other, we just tell everybody what we thought about it. So spoilers, if you haven't seen the Suicide Squad trailer, watch it and skip to the next part because we're going to talk about what was in it. All right, so Darce, you want to go first?
First off, actually, I think the point of clarification, I don't think it is Suicide Squad 2 because I think that DC was kind of saying like that this is the Suicide Squad. They're pretending like the first one didn't happen, so like this is the first one. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like they said something about that when they started dropping it originally, and just was like, yeah, let's just pretend the first one didn't happen, because everybody else is already going to do that anyways. That's why I'm just calling that detail. So overall, like I've been the most hyped out of the three of us going into Suicide Squad after seeing that teaser that they had dropped a while ago. I would say that I really liked the trailer. I thought that it was funny. I wanted to see more action in it, but I'll wait for another trailer for that. That's not a big complaint because I just was like, I saw so much hype for action in the teaser that when I got this trailer, I was a little bit like, yo, like I want more action scenes. Just because that's what I was anticipating. But overall, though, like I'm still all in. I'm excited to see this movie. I'm interested by the fact that Stallone is playing King Shark and that betrayal and the way that he speaks. I feel like that's going to be really good comic relief. And kind of like the EOS webcam beta that Tactix is running over here. Just messing.
My shit was fucking up. I don't even know what happened, bro. I think that's bad karma on my part, bro.
You know what?
For calling Umar out in the beginning of the intro. Yeah, that's fair. Thank you, universe.
That's one piece of it. Two, also having technical camera difficulties while talking about the Suicide Squad, it just seems fitting as well. So just does. Overall, though, I would say like I'm excited for this movie, but I need to see a little more action. I'm game for the comedy, but I definitely want to see something special in the action of this movie. So if I don't get enough action, I'd be like, no.
T, how about you? How about yourself?
I didn't care for it. It didn't really do nothing for me. Like, I laughed, I chuckled a little bit, but aside from that, I haven't seen enough for me to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna rush to go out and see that. For me, DC, the bar is set very low after Wonder Woman 1984 and all the other previous movies. Like, it's just not there for me yet. I mean, the fact that it's like James Gunn is attached to it, like, kind of leaves me with an ounce of hope. But aside from that, I don't know yet.
Okay.
To be determined.
Well, first of all, it is an actual sequel, Darcy. Like I just checked, and the reason why they call it the Suicide Squad is basically James Gunn's like little knack, like it's kind of like a joke title, but it is an official sequel.
Gotcha. Okay.
And for me, I would say that I think I'm kind of somewhere in between the two of you. Like I enjoyed the trailer. I love James Gunn. He's definitely brought the humor. I should say the humor is done right this time around, and I do find it interesting that I think that they were teasing Starro at the end as the kaiju. So that would be fascinating if they had him in there. I love John Cena, so seeing him like his whole dick comment about I was just like,
yeah, I think that John Cena is going to be like this standout. I think he's going to overshadow like Idris Elba, and that's saying a lot. Like he just feels like he's going to be way more at like in the right zone in this film than like anybody else is going to be. Like even going against Harley Quinn in terms of like being fit for the role, kind of it.
Yeah, I would say that like for me, I'm not against the film. I believe it will be. Well, I expect it to be decent, which is weird for me to say for a DC film. But then again, like that's because James Gunn is writing and directing it. I can't say I'm excited for it. Like I was watching the trailer and I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
King Shark tore that guy in half. Cool. And then I was like, oh, Starro. And then that was the end of it. So I think I'm just desensitized. I can't get it up for DC anymore.
Wow.
You gonna slide in after the John Cena comment? You go right to that? Okay, I got you.
If he's doing dicks, I'll do it too.
Wow.
Wait, whoa, what?
That didn't come out
You
right.
took it too far, bro.
That didn't go the way I thought it would go.
No,
Sorry.
it didn't.
No.
No, it didn't.
Oh no.
Whoa.
Oh
Wow.
I'm doing dicks, so am I.
no. Oh no. Anyway, so moving on.
Wow.
Anyway,
that was a lot.
Yeah. Anyway, so you get my point, and I'm done talking for the rest of the podcast.
Fair.
Yeah. He's just asking questions. He's not giving any more opinions.
No more euphemisms or metaphors for me either.
Yeah.
Anyway, so moving on to the next topic. Unless you guys have any final thoughts about Suicide Squad.
I'm kind of with you. Like I'm a little closer to you than it might seem. Like I'm game to see the movie, but yeah, this trailer didn't sell me super hard. So yeah, but I'm just gonna say like wait for a second trailer because I'm like I need the action. Like great, you got the comedy, but like if this is like comedy and the action's kind of subpar, this movie won't sell for me. So
fair. All right, so next topic is the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now we discussed, Darcy and I discussed our initial spoiler-free thoughts on the first episode, and Tactix gave us a kind of like what he thought before he watched the first episode. But now all three of us have watched it, right?
yes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm already halfway through the second episode.
Cool. So we're going to do our review. Spoiler-filled review of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So, T, I'm gonna start you off.
I like it so far. I like that right out the gate. It's like jam packed with action. Like you're just like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing already. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's a fun ride so far. I like the exploration of these characters, Sam and Bucky. We get their characters. They're a little bit more fleshed out because I feel like they took a back seat, rightfully so, in comparison to the Avengers, right? Like they didn't really have their own time to shine.
Bucky
so
did.
It's good to kind of, I mean, kind of like
as a villain,
yeah. So it was like it's good to now go back and see how he's now dealing with the the aftermath of what he did, especially
what he's done.
That whole arc with how he feels guilty about killing the old dude's son, and you're just like, damn, man, that's a heavy burden to hold.
Yeah,
it's a heavy burden to carry. So yeah, I like that.
Bad when he reveals it too. It's gonna be bad when he reveals it.
He doesn't. I really hope to God he doesn't, man.
Yeah.
Like,
what'll happen if?
Go on.
Or what'll happen if like the old guy dies before you even gets a chance to like, you know, to say anything?
I
Or the
know.
old guy is like he's like dying in Bucky's arms and he's like he's about to say it. He's about to tell him what he did, but then he just lets him die peacefully and he's like, now you'll be reunited with your son. And it's just like, oh
Ooh.
shit. That
Like,
that'll hit. That'll hit hard, man.
I swear to God, like when Bucky like skipped out of his date to like tell him, like the entire scene when he was like outside his apartment watching, like looking at the shrine of the sun, I'm like, don't say it, don't say it,
Yeah,
don't say it.
yeah. What do you guys think is going to happen? Do you think he's going to get a chance to tell him, or
I really hope to God not. Like, I'm hoping not, but I think he will.
I feel like he has to at some point. Yeah,
it's not going to make things better.
Oh, I don't think it's going to make things better for the man at all because he like lied to him by being his friend. Yeah. I think it's just going to be part of his own healing. Like it's not about making it better for the other guy. It's about him moving past and taking the licks and the consequences of all these situations. So,
because you're carrying that guilt along with you, right? And you have to live with that. At least if you confess and you own up to what you did, at least it's off your conscience. Like you can still carry the burden of like having done what you did, that being killing this old guy's son, but at least you're not holding on to that. You're not holding on to the secrecy of it as well, and making the old man think, oh yeah, like my son died. Because it's like, imagine like he doesn't even know what happened to his son.
Yeah.
And so it's like eating him alive, not knowing exactly the events of what happened related to his son's death. His son just disappeared and that was it. So, the old guy's not getting any younger, obviously. So like he's going to kick the bucket soon and died not knowing what happened, right? So I think that in conjunction to what Bucky did, considering that he's responsible, he now has double the whammy of the weight that he's carrying right now. So I think he has to tell him just to kind of deal with that.
Cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I like it. I'm not so sold on the Sam arc yet. I mean, the whole Bolt thing, it's not really doing anything for me right now.
Okay. Gotcha. I thought
you said, like, yeah.
I think that was just meant to kind of like ground him.
Yeah, I think I feel like they have the potential to expand on that a little bit, and like you kind of get a sense of, oh yeah, he's been gone for 5 years and now he has no credit kind of thing, and that's kind of how it would be in the real world, where it's like government, like banks don't give a shit like where you were at, like they don't care about your situation, they just you got no credit, then tough titty, right? So
I actually enjoyed them going into the reality of like working for the government. It's like, yeah, I'm not making a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I really enjoyed that aspect, and the one thing I'm liking that this show is doing way more than WandaVision did, and that is making it very evident to me that a lot of the MCU is going to be that it's MCU portions that are on Earth are going to be based on this, but probably actually in the rest of everything else, is the consequence of the snap is predicting the outcome of a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, thank God, everyone's back and everything can go back to normal. It's like, no. Nothing is normal. Like there are consequences to people being gone for 5 years and coming back. Like even the simplicity of the bank being like, yeah, we can't just give you back the credit you had. We literally lost so much during that time in rebuilding our institution. You come back, we just can't support what was there before, which is actually going into points of what Thanos is saying, is like that the universe can't support the amount of people that are in there, and now when you bring it back, it really can't support it. It's just kind of like hinting at like what he said, and then it's like, okay, but what are we gonna do? So,
well, I also find this series has already, just with its main villain, created a very interesting question, because Thanos. What they said in the beginning of Endgame is that the rest of the universe is not doing well, but Earth was, because it had the Avengers. So, and also that Stark was still around. So they were able to limp through and have actually created a unified Earth to kind of like fix the problems.
Captain Marvel was the one that said that, right? She's the one that pointed that out.
Right? So like it literally turned out to be the fact that like just because they had all these, and also they had Wakanda as well. So they were able to make it do. And now that they like everyone's back, of course, there are going to be people who would prefer the madness of the 5 years that forced everyone to like kind of come together. And now that everyone's back, it's like everyone has to go back to being apart. And they're like, why do we have to have borders again? And that sort of thing. So I find that interesting. I also, sorry, man, I didn't let you finish your review. T.
Who? Oh, me.
T.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, I'm finished. I'm
Okay.
good. I like it so far. I mean, yeah, the first episode was solid. I was a lot more engaged than I was with WandaVision. I'll tell you that much.
I figured.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious to see where it goes. I have yet to see them Bucky and Sam interact because it's only been the first episode. So, but you, Darcy, I believe you're more ahead of us than in regards to the episodes. Yeah.
Halfway through the second episode, I just started
Halfway
watching
through.
today.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I can't really speak too much more on that. It's interesting. The bootleg cap is interesting as well. I want to see where that goes. Like bootleg Captain America.
That whole chin strap just bothers me. Like,
yeah,
he doesn't look the part.
It's not working for me at all. Like,
yeah. I love how that guy became like the instant internet's hated character, and it doesn't help that it's a situation where like what I like about the series so far is they're not going as far as they could, but they're definitely not holding back on the wokeness, and especially on a lot of the racial undertones. Like, what I enjoyed is that they showed that the only reason Sam was even getting somewhat of attention was the fact that he was an Avenger. Like, he has to pull that card with the bank. And then also he's been talked to by politicians to give up the shield. And then immediately they handed it over to a white dude.
True.
Yeah. But he's taking that back.
Eventually, yeah. And I like the fact that this series is about him becoming Captain America.
Yeah, that's needed, because it definitely would have been hard to jump into a movie and just see that, right? I mean, there are people who are that's gonna be their experience, and cool, you have Disney Plus, go for it. but yeah, like, I feel like if we just went from between two movies and he's just Captain America, I feel like we would have felt almost similar to the way bootleg Captain America feels, right? Just like
I don't know, man. I feel like he earned that shit, bro. Like, he was a ride or die dude with Steve the entire way. Didn't have any powers, just some fucking wings. If anyone ever fucked with those wings, he was useless. He had guns and that was it. So I was like, you earned, you need a shield, bro. Because like, if people, if like superpowered villains are coming at you and you don't got anything but guns, you're finished, bro.
I don't disagree that he earned it, but I feel like there needs to be a time frame for all of us to enjoy the transition of him taking it on versus just being like instant.
I'm ready for it already, bro. I'm like, give that nigga a shield. I'll be like, Black Panther, get this nigga a shield. That's what I'm gonna be like. Straight up, bro. I'm ready for it right now.
Oh man, that was like Wakanda crossed over with like Coming to America.
Yeah, man.
Oh man, I did not see that coming.
For me, I would say that I'm glad they're taking their time, because to be honest, going off what Darcy says, like, if we watch like one movie he's given a shield and by Captain America, and then the next movie he's like in full like Captain America outfit doing Falcon Captain America with a shield, there are going to be enough people who'd be like, but did he earn it? Like, he was just a sidekick who got like elevated. I think the entire series showing the fact that he actually deserves it, even though a bunch of us already know he does. It also shows that the racial issues of having a black Captain America is not just being sidestepped as, oh, well, America is just going to accept it. It's like, no, they clearly won't. And then he has to take it and actually prove himself to be like worthy of it to them.
No, totally.
Yeah. But I also love the fact that, like, this is just a small thing, but when in his speech, giving the shield over and having it being part of the Smithsonian, when he was like, I think it was like women and gentlemen, like accounting putting women first. I found that to be a really, really awesome thing to just suddenly start like making that a new trend almost.
Wait, but wasn't that already a trend? Like, ladies and gentlemen.
I can't remember how he phrased it. Like, I should have rewatched it before this podcasting. But like, there was something that where there is ladies and gentlemen, but like, it was a different form of that where he went with women first and then a male second. I just can't remember it right now, but I remember really liking it basically for me, my favorite parts were the wokeness of the show. And also Bucky's entire journey. Like I personally like Bucky more, mostly because the tortured ex-assassin is more interesting to me, and also I really
don't like black people.
Yeah, I saw that coming. I was trying to like mug him up way through.
I know. I saw it.
You were gonna let me go, man. You were gonna let me go.
No.
If Umar could be on an island with only two things, it would be a ground full of dicks and no black people.
I think you mean John Cena's dick. And then basically, it's all good.
If you want to clarify that, then you go right ahead. Okay, I felt that was a good enough statement on its own.
Yo, we going off the rails today, bro.
I know. I am just. It's not my day for clearly. But no, I gotta say that I like that Bucky's three like his list of like, especially when he's like taking down his ex-Hydra people. I really found that cute, and I always felt for him, especially in that moment in Civil War when Iron Man goes to him. It's like, do you even remember them? And he just says, I remember all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Darcy, how about you, man? What did you think of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Ep 1?
The thing that I'm liking so far, and I'll say this without being spoilery, because it continues into episode 2, and it'll continue the whole season, it is the flushing out of these characters. I remember recently, I don't remember what context it was, but I saw a clip of like, what was it? Age of Ultron or whatever. What was it called? Was it called Age of Ultron?
Yeah.
I've seen that movie so few times I forget exactly the title. But yeah, like in the Age of Ultron, there was like a scene where Falcon and Cap are talking, and I just saw the scene. I was like, I don't remember this scene. And it's just like, he's been in a bunch of movies and he's had multiple scenes, but none of them have been really big or impactful. Like, he's had moments and they're good ones. Like, I always remember like on your left and like him running past him, and that's how we get introduced to the Falcon character. And like but you don't get like, even though there is stuff that you know about them, especially Falcon, you get far less than you do Bucky, because at least he goes back to the first Avenger and their relationship and stuff like that. But you don't really get a feel for who they are. You're getting more of a feel for who they are through proxy, right? And now it's like you remove the proxy, and now you're just actually getting to understand who they are themselves. And that's the thing that I'm enjoying the most so far. And the fact that like, and continuing in the second episode, I got this in the first episode, but it's even stronger in the second episode. I actually feel, even though Falcon technically is not a powerful person, he just has powerful technology, he feels more like the superhero than the Winter Soldier, and he's actually the more powerful one. And there's like an action scene. I won't speak to what's in it, but there were moments in it, and I was like, when I saw Falcon coming into a part of the battle, I was feeling like, okay, this might go, this will go well because Falcon's here. And I'm like, why am I feeling like that when the Winter Soldier's supposed to be like way stronger, but I feel way more like safe in the scene with the Falcon. So I just, there's an aspect to it that I'm like, I'm really enjoying that dynamic and whatnot. So
that was set up in the first one. Like, like Falcon took on Batroc. From the Winter Soldier movie, and like he also took out the entire team. So like, he's like,
if he were to get the serum or any variation of it, like he would be a beast because he's a really good tactical fighter. He has technology, he moves like Iron Man in terms of like thinking how to use his technology. He probably actually moves faster than Iron Man because he's not wearing a full body suit, right? And if you give him strength, on top of that, I'm not saying that they should go there with it, but if he had more strength, he would be really dangerous. Like over everybody else because he would be Captain America, but a little bit more in a way. So, yeah.
All right. Well, so we're definitely gonna be keeping our eye on this one, and just like with WandaVision, we'll be continuing our review. Now we also have another series to kind of do a first ep review. It is the animated adaptation of the Invincible comic. The first 3 episodes were dropped last night, I believe, on Prime. I haven't seen it yet, but I know that you both have. So I will just say I'm really looking forward to watching it. And after the reviews are going well for it, so I did read like the first 4 issues of the comic, so like I have some idea of where it starts. But nonetheless, like you guys feel free to give your episode 1 review.
Are we doing spoiler-free
Go
review?
spoiler. Let's go spoilers.
Okay, because I've seen all first 3 episodes. So I know Tax has only seen almost the whole 2 episodes, so I have to even like hold
How
back.
about you go first then?
Yeah.
So I wasn't 100% sold on the first episode. I was kind of like, okay, it's all right, but it's not enough to really grip me yet. And I was telling Darcy off air, I need more than just like excessive gore to really intrigue me when it comes to a show, right? And so, yeah, like I like the subtle references to that pertain to the Justice League. So like they have their own kind of, what are they called? The Guardians?
Yeah.
And
Guardians of the Globe.
Guardians of the Globe, yeah. So it's like they're very reminiscent of the Justice League. So like they have like a Batman-esque character, a Wonder Woman character, Martian Manhunter, Flash, etc.
The Batman character is actually really dope. I actually liked him a lot.
Yeah, he was pretty cool. Yeah, so I was like, I don't know, like, and some of the editing, excuse me, I found a little weird in the first episode. Like things just kind of like happened. Like there would be one scene and it would just cut to a random scene where he's like Invincible is like flying, and it just, I don't know, it was like a very jarring
time changes.
Yeah, like very jarring time changes, right? That was a little off-putting for me. But right before we started the podcast today, I was watching the second episode with Darcy, and it was better. It was better.
Okay.
It's got me a little intrigued. The way the things that they're setting up with the dad is very, very intriguing to me. I'm like curious to see where that goes. So yeah, I'm interested. I'm not all the way there yet, but I like it so far.
Okay. Darce?
All right, so that was a very spoiler-free review, and I'm over here ready to go all in.
Do it, bro. Do it.
Okay, so I fucking love this show, like, period. Like, I'm like 9 out of 10 right now, okay? So I didn't actually find any issues with the editing in the first episode. Nothing seemed jarring to me. I was fully, like, immersed in it. The thing is, so there is excessive gore. And you said I can go all in, right?
Go for it.
All right, we good? Okay, we good. I'm making sure. I don't know. I'm Tactix over here because I'm gonna make sure. So they have this Justice League, right? And I love the fact that Justice League is almost like a parody of the real Justice League. Like Aquaman is actually a fish. And I'm like, I just love the joke in that. And he's like a lonely character who has no friends. And like there's a scene where like he gets like the beep to go to like the Justice Hall or whatever. And he's like, finally, some action, and like leaves. Like he's super like excited. And Batman's black. And I was like, oh, like I really enjoyed the character, like the way he portrayed. And the rest of them are like whatever for me. But they're all like kind of parodied. And then the thing for me, like, yeah, I'm gonna go right to the excessive gore thing. The thing about the show is that I don't like the fact that it's gory. I like the fact that it's their consequences make me a little bit terrified in a lot of different scenes, because when people are dying in these things, like, so I've always loved like Justice League Unlimited, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with the way a lot of these like historical like shows that we watch have done things, but sometimes things become a little unbelievable when you like see things and you're like, everybody's like super invincible, and it feels like there's no consequence. You just always kind of accept it, like, yeah, things are gonna be fine. Like there's it's never going to be like something's a major's going to happen and they can't find their way out of it because everyone's always fine, right? The most heartbreaking stuff ever happened in like the traditional kind of like superhero stuff would be like when Batman couldn't save the girl, and like the Mind Palace type thing, whatever.
Ace, yeah,
Ace, right? Because it was finite, like it was final what happened to that, and so it hit you and you lived with you, or like when Dr. Fate, like the one magician, I forget all the names, but he takes over being Dr. Fate, so his daughter doesn't have to become Dr. Fate.
Oh, Zatara.
Zatara, right? So
Justice.
When you have those kinds of moments where it's like there's a consequence to it, and it's not going to be like reversed right away, like the problem we used to have with MCU before the Russo brothers got involved, where you're like, yeah, okay, like it's like hard to like really believe in the consequences because there never are any. This show, the thing I like about it is that there's consequences, and right in the very first friggin' episode, friggin' Omni-Man fucking annihilates the Justice League, just destroys them, and then I'm immediately like terrified of him, and then I'm also like, what is going on? And that mystery of like, because he doesn't look like he's fully in control, and when they were dying, they're like, I don't think someone's controlling him. He wouldn't do this. But it also kind of looks like he would. And so it sets up this mystery. But then when I also see people go into battle, I'm actually worried about the characters.
I hear what
right?
you're saying.
I actually enjoyed and like I liked the Batman character, and I had like this sad like, oh, like look at Aquaman, blah 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 moment, right? And then I had these emotions, and then they got annihilated, and I felt for all of those characters really quickly, and I was surprised by the consequence that it made me feel something. I also really love the cast is phenomenal. Like I'm like watching it, and one thing I like about Amazon is when you scroll over it, it'll drop down who's in the scene at this moment. And I'm like, Sandra Oh, right? Like is in there. Like the crazy guy who's always on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the crazy boyfriend, like killing it. There's just so many good, like Zachary, what's his name? From the guy who played like the villain in that one suit in Heroes.
Zachary Quinto.
Oh yeah.
Zachary Quinto, like there's
Stephen
so many.
Young and J.K. Simmons, they're fantastic as well.
Oh, phenomenal! I'm just like throwing up people that I was surprised to see.
Oh,
right? Like I knew about them, but I was just like, I didn't like in the dialogue between people. I enjoy a lot, like Sandra Oh's character and the way that she interacts with her son. Like there's like scenes where he's like says something rude to her, like he gets his powers, and she's like, get in the house, and he's like, make me. And then she's like, does that make you feel strong to know that I physically can't do it? And I was like,
yeah.
For real. And then by the time they're finishing their dialogue and shit, she's like, oh, well, I love you too, my asshole son. And I'm like, oh, this fucking show just like surprises me left, right, and center. So these are things that I'm liking about the show. That feels grounded, and there's consequence, and it gives me fear when I see people in these life-threatening moments, whereas usually like I'm like, yeah, life-threatening, and then I just never really came. I just like it's just a spectacle. So that's what I'm really enjoying about the show more than anything.
Well, they have the advantage because they don't have. They have the advantage because they don't have like these aren't well-known characters as far as I know, right? So you can take it to that level where you can completely like eliminate the perceived main cast. Like nobody is safe in this regard. Like Superman would never do that to the Justice League unless it was like an Elseworlds, like alternate universe type of thing, right? Because then you know that like everything is going to be reverted back. Flash probably goes back in time, changes things. So it's like you said, there is no real consequence. So it doesn't feel as grounded as in this, where like, you know, nobody is safe at any given point in time, aside from maybe Invincible. Anyone could die. And so there's a bit of fear there because you're like, okay, if I get attached to this character, like i.e. with you and the Batman-esque type character, like how long before he like kicks the bucket? You know what I mean? And sure enough, it was within the first 45 minutes, right? So so yeah, so basically, nobody is safe. And so yeah, I can agree with you there that it is a much more grounded show. And I felt that more so in the second episode because you see the amount of damage that's being done that you don't typically see in like the traditional superhero shows like Justice League or whatever, right? People are like, you see people getting like blown up and like actually getting murdered, like and that's very like nuanced. You don't see that in typical superhero or shows or whatever, right? So I really enjoyed that, and I like where it's going. I like where it's going so far. So
like he tries to save an old woman and screws it up and just like destroys her body because he's so much more powerful. But like the best way to summarize the thing I like about the show was he gets into his first battle and he comes home with blood on him and he's like terrified, right? And you're like what's wrong? And it's like it's not what I expected it to be. It's like you have this idealization of being a hero, and then you see what it's like to be in that moment in the battle, and it's not what you thought it would be. And that's what I like about the show. And I agree with you, like Justice League and all that kind of stuff, stay where it is. I don't want Justice League to become this. It's just that this is giving me a flavor of something that you never get because you too often always go to the other side because it's the safe route. You can build character for a long period of time. I'm just glad to finally see something that has that element to it where it's like these things that are like surreal are not what you thought they were. And when you get to see them in reality, it's like, it's terrifying and yet exciting at the same time. They still have the tone aspect of like a Young Justice or a Justice League Unlimited show in terms of how it's delivered. So that part's fun and exciting.
It's like The Boys. It's kind of very unpredictable.
Very.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say like it sounds like that a lot. Like it's kind of like the animated Boys version of
if it was done in like a Justice League Young Justice style, which also still fun and upbeat and exciting at times and has a little Harley Quinn dash, the Harley Quinn show thrown in there at times, just the gore and the humor sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, given all the conversations we have and comparisons to Justice League, I think that's the perfect jumping off point to our main event. Now, as people who watched our last week saw our initial pre-thoughts before watching the Justice League Snyder Cut, we have watched the Snyder Cut now. And I think what we should do is when each of us starts our review, we give a rating out of 10 and then explain why we gave that rating. So Darcy is our resident Snyder fan. So how about we start with him? Darcy, what is your rating and review for the Snyder Cut, the 4-hour Snyder Cut? And FYI, audience, this is going to be a spoiler one. So like, if you haven't seen the Snyder Cut, well, just watch the Snyder Cut and then come back to this point.
If they didn't saw the Snyder Cut, they probably don't want to see the Snyder Cut. Let's be honest here. Yeah. There's definitely two strong camps in this. I give it an 8 out of 10. And yeah, I'm the resident Snyder fan, but overall, it was I really enjoyed it. It's amazing how there were some really amazing parts to that movie that were completely pulled out. Ray Fisher's character, his whole storyline, he was done an injustice by what was in the original cut. I mean, honestly, if the original cut of the film just kept the Ray Fisher part and minimized every other character, it would have been a much significantly better film. The original version, we probably would never be here. Just because that was the core to how the story moved forward. And
I'm just glad he's getting I'm glad that the Buffy gals saved his perception, and now after this cut, he getting some legit support from the community.
Yeah, like it's so good that like the moment where he does that whole bank thing where he puts the money into that woman's account who's struggling, it's made me cry twice. I cried when we watched it together. I was trying to hide my tears from you guys, and then I cried again when I was watching it at home. It's like it choked me up. Okay, it's good stuff. There's definitely some. The 2 marks out of 10 that are missing is there's definitely stuff that can be cut shorter. The trek across the mountainside or the super long, unnecessary length of Icelandic singers holding their
literally
concert.
he didn't miss a single shot, and he just put it in the film.
100%, and he's like he only trimmed the beginnings and the ends of the clip. Like just when like the camera starts to move, that's when he cut it. But yeah, like there's definitely some stuff that could be slimmed down. There's things in the movie that I'm like, it's all right for those scenes, but the action was much better. There was so many more things that were fleshed out that made sense. Like, why did Batman was able to stop a shot from these from the aliens in the middle of that tunnel? Never explained before. It looked cool, and I never even think about it. But then I see him like, oh, he built a gauntlet that could absorb and dissipate energy, and you're like, why wasn't that scene involved? Like, why was that scene was so short? Why was it cut? Like, I don't get it. Like, the small things that would have just been better. Anyways, I digress. I don't know. Yeah, I enjoyed the film.
T, what is your rating and then review of the Justice League Snyder Cut?
Okay. So Umar, I know you were very vocal about your views regarding the Justice League, and you and I had talked off air.
I'll get to that part later.
Yeah, I know. And taking into consideration what everything that you said, you know what, Umar? You're a whole ass bitch. I love this movie, man. Like, this movie was like,
I was not fooled.
This movie was like, this movie was an 8 for me, man. Like, it's not a perfect film, but it, like Darcy said, it's a much more cohesive, fleshed out storyline, right? There, like, all the extra stuff that we got, and shit, we got a lot of extra stuff. But like, all the extra
2 hours
stuff,
of extra stuff.
We got more than 2 hours. Let's be honest here, because so much of like a Joss Whedon version is just like not like they're different points. So
yeah, which I don't understand, because it's essentially the same movie. Like, what was the issue aside from it? Like, obviously Zack Snyder's original cut being a lot longer, but I know like apparently the studios had issues with the script in general in terms of the direction, but yet they used the exact same script. Nothing was really changed. Everything was either cut out or like digitally altered to fit like
or reshot,
a different visual.
Certain parts were reshot to kind of give it a different tone.
Yeah, but it's the same fucking movie, like same plot devices. Like, I just didn't understand what the big issue was.
They had the same tentpole moments, but what I feel like they ran into this problem of, and of course they hoe ass bitched their way through it, but is that they took yeah, let's wait for that. They took out they took out Darkseid, right?
Yeah.
And so when they took that out, then they had to they kept probably backtracking through moments of the story and subtracting things. And then they also had they're like, okay, we need you to give the upbeat MCU part, right? We need you to keep it at 1.5 hours, and you need to get rid of all the Zack Snyder stuff that makes it like a spin-off to potential future movies, right? I.e. Darkseid and Jared Leto, which I know is new, but other types of things, right? And so you end up cutting out a bunch of stuff that makes sense, and then you're trying to add new scenes that are unnecessary because they're MCU styled, and then you're cutting out even more. So I bet you at some point it's like, if there's no racial motivation behind pulling out Ray Fisher stuff, which is very unlikely, very unlikely. Even still, you could get to a point where you're like, I have to cut these 3 major scenes out of Ray Fisher's stuff because it's too tied back to Darkseid, let's say in one way, then you end up going, well, I might as well just cut everything he does because I also need to stick these other random scenes in where Aquaman's going to sit on the lasso and start confessing that Wonder Woman's hot. Or I need to include a scene where Ezra Miller falls on, Gal Gadot's breasts and is like, oopsie, like I need to include these extras. So what are the other things I'm going to cut out? So you're just playing a stupid game of like switching stuff around that you end up just going like, you know what? At this point, I might as well just rewrite half of this shit. Like all the filler points, we might as well just rewrite them and just use the same tent poles because the people already seen the trailer and they're expecting them.
So do you do you have more you want to add to your review?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a much more fleshed out film. The problem, so I was kind of racking my brain and trying to figure out, like, do I like this film because the bar was set so low originally from the original Justice League Joss Whedon cut that we got, or overall based off of what we got with the Zack Snyder cut, do I think that it's a solid film? And I'm still kind of up in the air.
I think that's the question of this film. Like,
absolutely, yeah. And so I'm kind of battling with that right now. But like the problem, okay, so the problem with Zack Snyder is that visually, like he's phenomenal. He can shoot things very well, and like all of his shots look beautiful, right?
Yeah.
He just doesn't know how to tell a cohesive storyline in 2 hours or less, and that's a problem. That's a big problem to have as a filmmaker, right?
He also doesn't understand the characters either.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue that as well. Like, there's definitely some issues in regards.
I'll argue that. You go on, man.
Yeah, so that's the issue. But on the same token, like, because we were all a part of my web series back in the day, Boost, right?
Yeah.
So I know I'm kind of torn because I know how hard it is to cut shit that you've shot that you have every intention of using, only to later realize that shit just doesn't work, right? And another example, Darcy, when you and I used to work on music, and like I'd have particular lines in some of my rap bars, and you'd be like, "Yeah, I think you should cut this line. It's not really working. You're flubbing it a lot." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's such a sick line." And you're like, "Yeah, it is sick, but it would be better if you just got rid of this shit." And like that is so soul crushing to me, because you're conjuring up this sick line or this sick artistic thing that you have in your head, and then to say that, okay, yeah, it's just not working. It's great, but we got to cut it. It's like cutting part of like your body part off. You know what I mean? It's like very hard to do. So I understand that, and the fact that like he was able to lay it all on the line, give us 4 hours of this movie. It made more sense, not just as a whole with Justice League, but it made more sense in terms of what he gave us with Man of Steel, and more so with Batman v Superman. Because I was like, in that, for instance, that one scene where the Flash shows up in a dream sequence to warn Bruce about Lois or whatever, and he's got that armor thing on. I was like, I was always wondering, like, why is he wearing that? What's the story behind that? And then obviously later on we get in the the epilogue scene that he's wearing the armor. It makes sense for that setting. So I'm like, okay, I get where they're going with that. And to be honest, although we're never gonna get it, I kind of want to see. I would have loved to see where he was planning on taking this. And apparently, he wanted to add in Green Lantern into the movie instead of Martian Manhunter. And he actually shot it because the studio execs told him, like, yo, you can't shoot any new shit. You basically just have to use the money that we gave you and just do the final touches on what you already have. And that's it. And he went against the studio and shot like a Green Lantern scene. But I think because they're planning on doing like either a movie or a TV show with Green Lantern, they saw it and they're like, no, you can't do that. And so Zack Snyder was torn because he was like, yo, like, I don't want to cut out another person of color. You guys already did that with Ray Fisher. I don't want you guys to do that with Green Lantern. So he's like, okay, let me make a deal. Can I at least add in Martian Manhunter? And they're like, okay, well, since he was already in the movie, we'll put him in. But now that's an issue I had, because it was like that shit didn't make any sense, because it's like, yo, Man of Steel, oh no, Superman needs my help. He goes, he gets up, he's like, oh fuck, where are my keys? All right, I'll sit this one out. Then Batman v Superman. Oh man, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman need my help. He gets up and he's like, oh shit, man, you know what? I'm not feeling it today. I'm gonna sit.
I see it more like for that one. He's like, oh, Wonder Woman helped him out. They don't need me.
Yeah, they don't need me. I'm gonna just chill. You know, yo, my soaps are on. I'm gonna just chill and hang out on TV. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, where were you at, guy? Like, literally, I had an issue with that.
And then in this movie, he literally sat out the entire film.
Yeah. It's like when you're doing a group project and that one guy, he like hangs back and he's just like, yo, you're gonna put my name on that though, right? You're gonna put my name on it at the end, even though I haven't showed up to shit, I haven't done anything, but yeah.
Yo, let me hand it to teacher, okay? Let me hand it to teacher, right? Let me contribute.
That's my contribution. Yeah.
You're like, oh, it's so heavy.
Let me accept the award too.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, it's so heavy.
I don't want to take up too much time because I know Umar, you gotta bash this film. So go ahead.
All right. So I'm fully prepared to accept the fact that I'm among the few, at least in my circles, that found that the movie was passable. I will say, let me say the positives first. I gave the Whedon version a 3 out of 10, and I felt that was generous.
Yeah, that was generous. That was like a 2 for me. I've never been so offended by a film in my life. I have not seen it since.
Amen. With this film, I would have given it a 6, and objectively speaking, I would give it a 6 out of 10. But the reason I'm giving it a 5.5, and I'm saying this is my personal preference, I cannot stand when someone like the pacing was atrocious for me, and the amount of fucking slow motion is like, I don't get me wrong, I actually really liked in this film, and I'm like Snyder's cuts, action sequences fucking were amazing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say it, they were amazing.
That Wonder Woman scene,
what pisses me off about them is the fact that he did so much slow motion that it took me like Wonder Woman. I'm like, oh my god, she's killing people and like fucking people up in the beginning, and it reminds me of Civil War. I'm like, oh my god, it's like almost as good as Civil War. Oh, sorry, Winter Soldier when Captain America gets on the boat, and then they're doing non-stop slow motion, and then at the end she blows off the sides of the building to take out one dude who she could have, but her abilities stopped without causing any damage, but whatever. So that sort of stuff just got in my way, and it took the half point off, and I'm taking that as a personal thing. I'm not saying that objectively. Objectively, I would say it's a 6 out of 10. The good things about it, aside from the action sequences, and also, like you're saying with the cyborg thing, I agree with everything you said. It, like, especially, I really love that scene where they showed him giving money, and like this long sequence of him like going through all of her information is like a nanosecond for him when he just looks at a woman. And like they're talking about his power, so that was cool. I'm not a fan, personally, of Superman in this version because it is, and I will say this is a credit to Zack Snyder, it is consistent to his Superman from Man of Steel to Justice League. I preferred the Superman ending portion in the Whedon version because that's more my Superman that I prefer, but that is odd because it's so counter to everything we've seen of this Superman in this entire series. But this one, who's being, full of himself, just a little cocky, and also rather aggressive.
Hella aggressive too. I was like, "Yo, chill, bro."
When
he was punching Steppenwolf, I was like, "Relax."
I was like, "Okay."
But to be fair, though, he was setting it up so that another film, Darcy, would take over. So it's probably going to play into something like he was unhinged because he died, and he wasn't fully recovering to being himself. So I feel like as much as we want that Superman, right, that nice Superman. But that's not the like thread he's trying to build towards.
Fair,
but I feel like with that, I feel like with Darkseid wouldn't have had a hard time to corrupt that Superman that we got from Zack Snyder's version versus Joss Whedon one.
That's kind of leads to a point that I have to make. I'll get to that in my negative portion. So yeah, positives. Everything in terms of characterizations, I loved. I can't believe I'm saying this. I loved Ezra Miller's Flash this time around. I love, especially because I loved his interactions with everyone. I loved his interactions with Cyborg. I loved it, especially. I loved his interaction with Aquaman. Who knew?
Yeah.
The point.
Yeah. I actually like Aquaman. He's more fleshed out in this version.
Yeah.
And also Cyborg, Aquaman, and Flash. They kind of made more sense this time around.
Mm-hmm.
Batman was less weird and comical. We got more Alfred, which is always great, especially with Jeremy Irons.
Especially with Wonder Woman and that tea scene. That was
awesome. And
I literally said to myself, like, I didn't know I needed this.
Like, exactly. And like Wonder Woman and the Amazons, like, dude, when they like fought Steppenwolf, I was like, okay. And why are all their armor and clothes suddenly disappeared and they're fighting in a bikini? Now it's like, yo, they dressed up and ready to fight. And like he actually Zack Snyder gave them time, and it's like, yo, show them your fear. We have no fear. And then when they also prove that they are really good architects, because yo, those 4 pillars were hella necessary for the entirety of that. So I was like, well, fuck me. No one was going to get out of this one. So those are the things I liked. And now the parts that were bothered me. I've talked about the slow motion. I talked about the pacing. It felt like you know how directors take out deleted scenes to keep the pacing of the film? He would just put them all in there. Fair enough. He's had his visions bastardized. He's like, you know what? I don't care if this ruins the pacing. I'm going to put them in. I wouldn't have begrudged them that much, but it just 4 hours was unnecessary. You could have made that 3 hours, man. So, I mean, I watched The Lord of the Rings and I loved it. I didn't enjoy The Hobbit because it was unnecessarily long. This is kind of The Hobbit for me. That's one. Darkseid, they did my man dirty. He is immortal and got taken out by Ares after he found the very thing he was looking for his entire life and then forgot it was there.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a hard hit, man.
And then
Knock some
on
screws
top of
loose.
which, Ares beat Darkseid for some apparent reason. Wonder Woman obliterated Ares in her movie, and then Steppenwolf, who is a lackey and is nothing compared to Darkseid, is giving everyone trouble, including Wonder Woman. So what? What? Anyway, so all of that just was very frustrating for me. Batman making up plans as he goes along without any recourse or backup strategy. Like, he didn't even come up with Lois for saving him. He was like, let's bring back Superman. No plans on top of that. And I'm like, why do you not have a backup plan when you had one in Whedon's version and that was the bad version? So anyway, a lot of things just really were frustrating, and it's a 6 out of 10 for me. And I'm fine with other people enjoying it. Like, I didn't hate it. It's a vast improvement compared to what we got before. And I'm not going to watch it again in terms of like the length of it. I'm probably going to watch scenes of it just because, you know, they're badass and cool, and like I want to watch some cool stuff. But I still didn't get my Superman, but that's consistent with Snyder. I didn't get my Batman, but at least that's also still consistent with his previous works. It's consistent films, but it's a better consistent film. So that's where I'm at.
I got one thing to say about the Wonder Woman scene with the guy that she took out with the gauntlet. Something that I thought about rewatching it is that the guy went fully auto to shoot children. When I was watching it and I looked at her, I was like, she made the decision, is like, because she kills in this movie, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So she very much is like, I don't want to see you go to court. I've decided right now that there is nothing redeemable about you since you you switched to a fully auto. And
my thing is, why did she blow up the building with people underneath it?
I think that was just impulse.
Yeah, I think it's just a reaction. And the other one is, okay, let's say she uses the sword and decapitates him in front of a room full of children. At least this way, he's just gone. Like, it's just like, where did the bad man go?
She did stomp off a bunch of people who kind of like went like they paste it against the wall to the children. I'm just saying those kids have already been kind of relatively traumatized.
Yeah, but wouldn't have been quite the same as watching the last guy get desensitized or getting his head decapitated. Sorry, I'm trying to say.
Anyway,
decapitation is a little bit harsher than
she
just
didn't have
being
to decapitate him. She could have just punched him through the window.
Yeah, fair, whatever. Right.
Anyway,
that one would work.
I will say that, like, I don't love it. I don't know. I feel weird that I'm the only one who apparently didn't love it, but I'm fine with being alone on this one.
Whedon's was so bad, bro.
No, and
it was
honestly,
so bad.
I think that's for me personally. I think, like, objectively speaking, it's a 6 out of 10. If I was comparing it to Whedon, it's an 8.
Okay, we can end on that note. You
Yeah.
heard it here, folks.
8 out of
Umar
10
loves
for Umar.
Justice League.
Sure. That's despite the fact that I said 5.5. Anyway,
8 out of 10 is all I heard.
You keep going up. You said you started off at like 5, then you were like 5.5, then 6, and now it's an 8.
Personally, 5.5. Objectively, 6. Compared to Whedon, 7.58.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
So many numbers.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll end it there. This has been another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. I'm your boy Tactix.
Yo, it's just Darcy. Wait for Umar to screw up the outro.
And this is Big Geek Umar. Live long and prosper, y'all. Please like and subscribe and comment.